All right, and it looks like Divaldo, we are going Quantumania on this one. Um, hey, so listen, thanks for joining us, listener out there,
Hmm.
who's out there, wherever you are in the world, wherever you're listening from. This is episode 226.
Yep,
Yeah, 226. I got
that
that one
is
right this time.
correct.
And listen, look, we're gonna get right into it. We're not messing around because the movie of the week for us is gonna be Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. We're gonna get to that in a moment. We're gonna do some other bits and pieces beforehand. We're gonna fill in those little gaps in there for you. And before we do any of all that stuff, Deval, take it away for me.
Yes, so this week we have one good meaty, one good meaty bit of feedback actually, or shout out, however you want to look at it. Feedback,
Yeah,
shout out. So this person is called uh, Movie Buff, and I'm guessing they are a movie
movie
buff and they
buff.
love their movies. Yeah, so they gave us a shout out. Actually, I don't think. Have you seen this? Have you seen this one?
No, I've not seen this one.
Okay,
All right, go
okay.
on, go for it.
This person gave us a shout out, aka constructive criticism.
Mm.
And this is on YouTube actually. So this person looked at our video for Europa Reports, which is one of our
Oh,
most viewed
jeez.
videos. It's got over thousands of views on that one,
Yeah.
and he gave us some feedback saying, like like the guys' voices, us who are talking, but my word, the lack of knowledge about film you are talking about is bad.
Oh shit!
I read that
Classic.
verbatim. So he's saying basically that at the time we were talking about Europa Report. I think it was mostly me, so I think you were right. He said that
Yeah,
the lack of knowledge that I was talking about was quite bad. I mean, fair enough. I mean, criticism comes, you've got to take it on board. This was,
exactly.
by the way, I did reply to him and say, thanks for the feedback. This was 2018. Hopefully, we are better now. And he said, yeah,
Exactly.
uh, I'm gonna keep on watching you guys. So yeah, really interested to see what you're gonna do next. So it's
Oh,
all good.
wicked. That's all
You
good.
know.
That's great. I
Hmm.
love that. I love that. Listen, look, we don't devout. I mean, listen, look, we don't plan, or we never stated that we know everything about
No,
flipping films. We
no.
haven't seen every single thing out there,
Hmm.
and we watch what we want to watch, right?
Yeah, exactly. But at the same time, we're open to all kinds of feedback. Let us
Yeah,
know what you think. Is it
I
good? Is
love
it
that.
shit? Are we good? Are we shit? Talk to us. It's all good.
Talk to us.
We're not gonna cuss you.
Exactly.
Come on
I
now.
know. No, I love that. Come on, movie buff. No, that's brilliant.
Yeah.
We'll check
So
out your stuff as well. So thanks for that one. And all right, let's get into movie news. So
yes.
listen, we're going to try and keep movie news sweet and short on this one. But listen, this one is kind of interesting because, oh man, it's kind of a bit sad as well at the same time because Deval, remember when Spartacus, when that kind of came onto our screens and into our lives. We loved it. Historical action, kind of, they played around obviously, with the,
Mhm.
historical facts and everything with all that, but they had compelling characters, great storylines. And then after all of that whole thing, the lead actor, he passed away.
Yeah, Andy Whitfield is his name. So this is Spartacus, the TV show, that is done by who's the people that do
Stars.
Stars? That's it. Yeah. So they do Power and stuff like that as well. But yeah, really great show. This started in 2009, I think it was,
Mm,
and it sort of kind of got off the back of 300. So the kind of not animation, the kind of sort of action and sort of slow motion fight scenes like
yeah,
300. They kind of took it on board and moved even further with it. So John Hannon's in it. He stars Batty Artis. You've got Peter Mensah, who's the Doctore, like the trainer. Some really good Lucy Lawless, who was in Xena Warrior Princess. So
yeah.
some really good stars in this. It's a really good show. It stopped after like 4 seasons. Obviously, like you mentioned, the main star Andy Whitfield died. Unfortunately, he had cancer. But we've heard that it's going to be a new series
Mm.
that's going to come off the back of that. I'm not sure who's going to be the champion of Capua or what's going to happen next, but if it's going to be in the same kind of vein. So this finished in 2013, I want to say.
Mm. God, it's been a while, hasn't
2013.
it?
Is it 2013? 2000,
Because then
yeah, so it's
remember
been
they
10
did,
years.
yeah,
Yeah.
and remember then they did the prequel, was it Blood and
Yes,
Sand or
Blood and
something?
Sands. Yes, they had a new Spartacus. Took a while to get used to him, but I think in the
Mm,
fourth season, I was bought into him. He was good. So
yeah,
let's see what they're going to do with this. But if this
yeah,
show comes out and they can, do it justice like they did with the original,
yeah,
then it could be a winner. It's going to be hopefully backed by the same team as well, which actually did involve Stephen S. DeKnight, who's a good writer, creator,
yeah.
producer. Also, our man from Evil Dead and Spider-Man.
Sam
What's it
Raimi.
called? Sam Raimi was involved in it as well, so it had
Yeah,
lots of blood and gore and stuff like that. So, all these people, if they really can, recreate that, then we could be onto a winner as well. So this should
exactly.
be coming out maybe the end of this year or maybe next year. So we'll have to
And
wait and see.
another reason why a lot of people tuned in, Deval, was, let's not beat around the bush over here, was
Oh,
the sex.
sex
T-
scenes
t-
were
t-
crazy. People think
Matt,
Game of Thrones was bad. This was out a year before Game of Thrones, remember? And the
do you
sex
remember
scenes in
the
this,
shit that they
they
were
were
doing in
slow
this?
motion, they were
Oh
raw.
man,
You see big orgies, similar, how the Romans did, you
that's
know?
how they rolled. That
Exactly.
is
So
that's how they rolled.
crazy, crazy.
Crazy. If you haven't seen it, go check it out. I'm pretty sure you can find it
Yeah.
on what, Netflix? It must be. I think it's on
Probably on
Netflix, isn't it?
Stars. I know for sure. I'm not
Stars or
sure where
something.
else you can get it. You can find it somewhere. If you can't find it, let us know. We'll help you find it.
Exactly. All right, let's move ahead. All right, let's speak about this now. Deval, we're fans of, obviously, Vin Diesel. He's obviously known for right now for the
Mm.
Fast and Furious. But listen, let's not forget Riddick. Let's not forget Riddick, which is a really kind of it kind of put him on the map, didn't it? It was just kind of this
Yeah.
sci-fi, kind of really mysterious
Well, the
character that
first
kind
one
of
was Pitch Black, isn't it? The
that
Pitch
was
Black,
it.
1990, no, 2000, I think it was. Good film.
Really good, underrated movie, and then they kind of had a sequel and everything. But check this out. So the
Chronicles of
big
Riddick.
news, Chronicles of Riddick and everything, and check this out. So Riddick Furia is officially moving ahead with Vin Diesel and David Toohey. So David Toohey, the director. So listen, the new film, the fourth installment in the sci-fi action series after 2000's Pitch Black. Deval, it's been 23
2000,
years.
no, 2013.
Sorry,
Remember they had
2013.
Riddick. Yeah, so
That was
10
it.
years, a long
Sorry, yeah.
time. That's a long
It's
time.
mad.
That's a long
So
time.
so Diesel's anti-hero Richard B. Riddick returning to his home world. I mean, you've spoken about this before, a
Mm.
place he barely remembers, and one he fears might be left in ruins by the necro. I always this name just freaks me out. The
The,
necromongers. It's
it's the
just like,
Necromonger way. You keep
oh,
what you kill. It's the
it's just,
Necromonger way.
and
Remember?
hasn't it got a game? It's got a Game of Thrones vibe to it as well.
Yeah, they've got a nice lore and mythology. I think the
Yeah,
Necromongers and the Furians and that whole world. It seems like a bit of a bandits world, Star Wars.
yeah,
Even like the way hey, in Chronicles of Riddick in 2004, which Thandie Newton was in it, Carl
yeah.
Urban was in
Thandua,
it.
yeah,
Riddick was able to kill the Lord Commander, I think they called him, and
mm.
because he killed him, because by the
He's the
Necromongers,
leader.
if you kill the leader, you become the leader, and
Yeah.
all the people that were his enemies, then kneeled to his feet. I think the
Uh,
Chronicles of Riddick is such an underrated film. If they
yeah.
can recreate something like that, because the
Mhm.
third one was a bit flat, if they can recreate that, I mean, come on, man.
Yeah, because after the Fast and Furious, he needs a new franchise, right? And this
Yeah,
could be
yeah.
the kind of revival. But check this out. So David Toohey, he's turned around and said, "Our legion of fans have demanded it for years, and now we're
Mm,
finally ready to honor their call to action with Riddick Furia."
mm,
So
mm,
Matt, they've been together. So Toohey and Vin Diesel, they've been kind of collaborating for 20 years. Let's see what happens when those two put their heads together.
mm.
So yeah, listen, look, that is kind of movie news for this week. We've purposefully kept it short and sweet, but remember, tune in, week out for more movie news, and we're going to be bringing you lots of stuff. But listen, let's move on to new and streaming. So listen, episode 5, they they brought in episode 5 earlier than usual, Deval.
Yes, because of the Super Bowl. So we got
It was
it
a Super
a
Bowl, yeah.
couple of days early. Yeah, I was so happy about
Mm.
that. Mm,
Yeah, so this is episode 5, and we kind of get this kind of the way that episode 4 ended, which was a great episode. With Ellie and Joel, they're laughing, they're falling asleep, and
mm,
then all of a sudden, they kind of it's, we think they're being ambushed, but what really transpires is we see two new characters and we see their kind of backstory about what's going on, and we kind of I kind of thought this was going to happen. There's going to be kind of like a team up, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, this. Oh, do you know what? Every time I think of this show, yeah, like what you just said, it's just like people need to see the show, man.
Well,
People
why aren't they
need
watching
to
it?
see the
Or are they
show,
watching it? I don't know.
and just what is the team ups, the human interactions, all these
Mm.
things that happen in the backdrop of the end of the world.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's be honest. This is the and do you know what? Another thing that we need to talk about. Yeah, the cause. What they called again? Cause dates or
Oh yeah,
uh,
the course, the actual the clickers, yeah, the Corsa
yeah.
dips, yeah.
This is something. Go on YouTube and just check this fungus, this type of
Oh.
infection. Yeah, it is real.
Mm,
Yeah, it is real. This is something that happens in nature. The only thing
yeah.
is that in nature it can't go to humans.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know why it can't go to humans? Hmm?
What, we don't have the what, we're not compatible or something? What shit? What is it?
It's because of the climate and how it
Mm.
interacts with our bodies. But the scientists have said if the Earth were X degrees warmer, you know where I'm
Holy
going with this here, because you know
shit. Yep.
what's happening with climate change and shit. We don't
Global
think of
warming.
climate change as something that is. We think of it as obviously, climate change and all that kind of CO2, all that kind of stuff. But
Yeah.
think of how nature will adapt to climate change and
Nature finds a
how
way.
that can have a mic drop, show over. Yeah, how that can affect humankind and what can, because this fungus, if it can,
If
it
it can
control,
survive in our body heat, oh my gosh,
mate,
this
mate,
Valdo,
it's
mate.
crazy.
You know, um, there are a lot of people out there, and obviously there's different views available. You can go check out all this sort of
Mm,
stuff, but a lot of people, man, they're like, we're on the brink of, there's
mm,
one major catastrophe away from basically
mm,
total wipeout.
mm. Crazy. But that episode, just to sort of cap it off,
Yeah.
it was sad, didn't it? At the end. I mean,
Mm.
oh man, that.
Man, it's like, but you know what? The apocalypse will do that, though, won't it? It's like, it's like one of those things where it's you survive, you don't survive,
It was
who
sad,
gets to
man.
survive and who chooses that.
You think kids are gonna survive? Oh, it's all right, they're kids, man.
Nah, man. There no one, basically, no one is out of reach from this sort of kind of danger.
Mm,
But in terms of kind of where we are, because we're at the midway point. I think we're at
yeah,
the midway point. It's
yeah,
like about
yeah,
10
yeah,
episodes, right? So
yeah.
we're at the midway point. And in terms of kind of those, is it up there with the zombie
Yes,
movies and the
yes.
those types of end of world
I
scenarios?
I'll stop your sentence straight away.
Mm,
Yes, this
it's
is
up there, isn't it?
show,
Yeah.
heavy show, and it's so true to the games. You've played the games. I've only gone
Oh
online afterwards
man.
and seen some of the scenes side by side with the games, and it is like the game has come to life. It's
Yeah,
crazy,
yeah, 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 yeah.
crazy,
I
crazy.
was reading something. People went back to basically go buy the actual game again because
Yeah,
this is out.
yeah,
So
yeah,
I tell you
yeah,
what, it's a massive money spinner for, obviously, for
mm,
so, or, Naughty Dog, I think they're called
yeah,
as well. So
yeah, yeah.
yeah, man, they've done really well. If you're not watching the show, please go out and watch it. Listen to what we're saying. Now,
Mm,
the other thing I just want to briefly mention this about. I binge watched this, the latest season of You, and
okay, okay.
the
Oh,
8
you've binge watched
episodes.
it. Oh, okay.
Yeah, I
Wow, you're
kind
not
of,
messing
yeah,
around.
yeah. So I kind of we caught up with the whole kind of thing, and you know what? It's weird because obviously COVID happened, and there was kind of like a number of years that had passed since season 3,
Yeah.
and then now the kind of it's shifted to London, and it's just so weird
Oh,
seeing Joe
yeah.
in London, and
He
it's
doesn't look as glamorous, does he?
it doesn't, no, not at all, not at all. And it takes a few episodes just to get into the fact that he's in London, and there's all these British actors. They're all kind
Mm,
of like it was just really weird. But um, is it as good as the other seasons? I will say probably not, but it's
okay.
still very watchable.
Okay. All right. Say no more. Say no
That's
more.
it. That's it.
Say
So
no
that's
more.
go out there, and then the next part, the other part is, I think, it's coming in March. I think.
Okay.
So they've done this
All right.
split it up.
Cool.
So the first 8 episodes, and then the
Mm,
next 8 episodes, and whatever.
okay.
So if you haven't seen You, trust me, go out there, check it out. Joe, he's a crazy guy. He's a stalker. He's a killer. He's there's shades of goodness in him, shades of there's craziness in him as well. So you need to go watch out. Now let's do trailers and Deval.
Mm,
Come on,
yeah.
man.
Super
Let's talk
Bowl.
about let's talk about this massive Super Bowl, like
Yeah.
major event in America, and they always drop some major trailers. There's always something major going on, and we got to talk about this. So they dropped the Flash trailer, and you know what, Devout, I gotta say, it's
Looks decent.
looking good.
It looks decent. It
It
does
looks,
look decent.
doesn't it look decent? I don't want to say it looks wicked because
Mm,
obviously you don't know,
mm.
and it's DC, but this is looking very decent, Deval.
Looks like they're going to do Flashpoint. It looks like, the Flash is going to go back in time to save his mum, and he's going
Yeah.
to like break the universe. So
Mm.
I think that's going to happen. Supergirl's looking mad in it. She looks like she's been locked up, and when she comes out, she's just angry at the world.
Yep.
We've got General Zod who's back in it,
Back,
and that was a
yeah.
big surprise to me. I didn't expect to see
Massive.
him return 10 years later, because the last time we
Mm.
saw him was 2013, Superman. And
Oh
then obviously we're
shit.
seeing two Flashes. We're seeing Michael Keaton's Batman, who's
Mm.
there and just like properly working with Supergirl and the Flash. And what else have we not seen that we're going to see? I mean,
Now,
he's going to do some more surprises.
was it you
Mm,
who said about the rumor about a Christian
Bale,
Bell, or no? Was
yeah,
that?
it was me. There,
Yeah,
there, there was a rumor about that, which could be true. And if it is true, it's something that we're not going to see in the trailers, obviously. But if that
oh, that,
happens,
because
that's mad.
remember
That's
what
mad.
they did with Spider-Man, bringing back
Yes,
the two
yes,
other
yeah,
Spider-Men,
yeah,
and they cut that out of the
yeah,
trailer and everything.
yeah,
Man, listen, anything's possible,
yeah.
and
A
that
little
could be on
multiversal
par
clip.
with it.
Yeah, a little multiversal clip doesn't need to come back forever. Just here for a short time, not for a long time. And that could be Bell. So, but you know what? I'm looking forward to this. It's coming out in June, only 4 months time from the time we're speaking
Oh,
now. So I don't think it can be worse than the rest. So
no,
I'm
no, no,
I'm
no.
I'm, I'm ready for it.
Yeah, and like what Gunn has already
Mm.
said, it's kind of there to kickstart the other kind of movies.
Yes.
So, and according to him, it's one of the greatest comic book movies that he's ever
Mm.
seen. So, listen, that's pretty
Big. That's
mighty
big.
praise coming
That's
from
big.
him and coming from MCU. So, we'll go check that one out. And the other one, which is a lot of, it's a bundle of fun, but it's also tinged with a bit of sadness. This is
Mm.
Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, because somehow we know that this is going to be the end, but also it's going to be an extension, and we're going to get new characters, aka Adam Warlock, and then obviously there's going to be, they're going to have to cap it all off. There's a love story in there as well, with obviously Star Lord and Gamora. We want to see what happens there. We get to see kind of the history behind Rocket Raccoon. But yeah, man, a lot of stuff going on in that trailer.
A lot of stuff, and you're right. This is going to be the end in a way, and I wonder what they're going to do going forward. Drax is rumored to, be packing his bags with this one. Rocket Raccoon, we understand, possibly could die in this as well. There's got to be some kind of loss. They might be tricking us. Maybe it's someone totally different that dies. But I think obviously with James Gunn, moving on as well. Well, he has moved on, hasn't he? So this is the last one
Mm.
that we're going to see in his mind, and someone else doing it won't be the same. But yeah, for this one, it's weird. It's like I'm not as excited for it as I thought I would be, because Adam
Yeah.
Warlock. I don't. I reckon we're not going to get an Adam Warlock that we're going to expect. I'm not too sure. So I mean, I don't know. Marvel with me at the moment is it's a weird one. I'm not as
Wait,
excited as I
mate,
should be with Marvel.
we're going to speak about that because I feel exactly the same way. We're
Okay,
going to speak
okay,
about it when we
okay.
get to the main movie. But yeah, I want to pick your brains about that.
Mm.
But in terms of kind of, um, so this is Phase 5. Is the Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 a Phase 5 movie, or is it
I
a Phase
believe so.
4 movie?
Yes, yeah, it's five. It's five because Quantumania is the start of
The
phase
start
five.
of
I
Phase 5.
understand. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
All right. Okay. So listen, folks, if you haven't seen any of the Guardians movies, go check them out. You can get them on Disney Plus, and go check out Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. It's kind of like, the conclusion to those guys, but not obviously, as you know, the MCU, because we're going to see a variation of them at some point,
Mm.
and variation is going to be kind of a theme that's going to pop up throughout the whole of Phase 5. But let's go on to Anniversary Corner and let's check out this one from 10 years ago. And listen, look, a lot of people, this isn't on there. On the list of kind of like MCU movies as being up there, but this is Iron Man 3. And how many characters have actually had a trilogy, Deval? So we've got Iron Man, they've had a trilogy. Thor, which has had 4 movies. Ant-Man
Cap.
now, which has had a trilogy. Cap.
Mm.
So only 4 characters in
Mm.
the scheme of
Guardians is
things.
about to.
Oh, Guardians, sorry, yeah, exactly. But I
Yeah.
mean, yeah. So Iron Man, he
Mm.
kind of, it was his kind of final move, like solo singular movie, although we saw him again,
Yeah.
obviously, in the other movies. But what did you make of it, man? It's still one of those movies which is like,
It
yeah,
let me down.
yeah,
This one let me down. Shane Black. This one
I
let me
know,
down. I
I
left the
know.
cinema a little bit angry with this one because the whole no, seriously, the whole film wasn't all that, and then the end credits as well were just a
Yeah,
waste of
I
time.
know,
So
I
I
know.
felt really cheated. To this day, this has been one of my worst Marvel films. I think Love and Thunder and this together are the worst Marvel films for me.
Yeah,
Yeah, they're just
yeah,
a waste of time. Just a waste of time. Yeah,
I
this one
know, I
here,
know.
I only put it on here because it's Marvel. We're going to talk about Ant Man, and it's this actually this year as well. They released one movie in 2013, so it was a bad year for Marvel. One movie the whole year.
Hmm.
This was then when they used to maybe do two movies a year, but in
I
2013 we
wonder
only
why
got one
that
film.
was.
They were working on the next year they came back with Winter Soldier, Guardians, and something else. So the next year was a good year, but 2013 we got one film. Oh no, we got two. We got Thor. I think we got Thor, Dark
Thor
World.
was decent
Sorry,
though.
yeah, that was all right. Yeah, we got Thor, Dark World in November. But yeah, Iron
Yeah,
Man 3, man. Ah, nah, didn't
you
like
know,
it,
in
man.
the in the 30, is it about 30 movies now in the MCU? Is that right?
Something like that. Something like that.
How many of those 30 would you say all I want is just literally either wicked or gangster or
Mm,
very good? Out of
hmm
that's all I want from you. How many of those movies, 30 movies, could you say are that's a gangster movie or that's very good or that is wicked? How many would you
I'll
say
say
out of those 30?
7 maybe. So I've
7.
got a top 5. My top 5 are gangster films.
Mm.
My top 5 are gangster films, and then there's a little, like a couple, maybe or three outside of that that are still good films, but they just don't make my top 5. So I'll say there's a good maybe
Mm.
8. I'll say there's an
8
8
movies.
that are, yeah,
Yeah. And we're going to get into this because you
yeah.
know what? We're going to get into the kind of the film review for Ant-Man and the Wasp, Quantumania. But here's the thing. So with 30 movies, we're 30 movies strong with the MCU going back from 2008. Let's not forget
Mm,
this has all been
mm,
planned. What is the kind of I don't know. A lot of people are saying, and even I'm beginning to think this is that we're not going to get a kind of you know um Avengers kind of Infinity War. I think we're not, or we are going to still going to get some very good movies, but are we going to get movies which are going to be like, oh my god, this is absolutely amazing. This is absolutely great. I don't know if we're going to get those levels. We're going to get very good movies, but I also reckon we're going to get some duds in the next over the next 10 years.
yes. I think what we're going to get now is cookie cutter Disney movies.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah,
That's it.
yeah, yeah, exactly. And listen, look, that's a nice way to kind of set up where we're at right now. Deval's already mentioned this. Phase 5 has officially begun with Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania. So this is kind of, the starting of this whole Phase 5. And remember, Kevin Feige, MCU, they've got Phase 5. They're working on Phase 6 as well. They already know what's going to be happening in Phase 6. But by that time, we don't know how it's all going to turn out. But we've waited kind of a while for this because we knew that Kang the Conqueror was going to be in this movie because we saw it in the trailers. But this
Mm,
isn't his kind of in first introduction though, Deval, is it? Because we've already seen him in Loki.
mm-hmm. Yep. Yep.
And Here's the thing. I think Jonathan Majors, I think he's a wicked actor. I think he's absolutely
Mm,
brilliant. He brings this kind of Thanos level. He is going to be a great villain. I think he's going to bring so many different layers. And here's the thing, because there are so many variants of this character, Jonathan
mm,
Majors is going to be able to bring so much. He who remains, his acting in Loki is completely different to the way he's acting in this movie because
mm,
it's a different variant of that character. And I think the other Kangs that we're going to get in the next Kang the Conqueror in Secret Wars or whatever, I think they're also going to be different. But in this one, for me, I just thought, you know what? This is a brilliant introduction to Kang the Conqueror and Jonathan Majors. And the story, we can get into the whole story. But for me, that was kind of like the big thing for me was how are they going to introduce Jonathan Majors? How are they going to introduce Kang the Conqueror? Is he going to be a good villain? Is he going to be up there? And I think there's going to be more to come from him, from the actual actor, Jonathan Majors.
mm. Yeah, there's a lot. You're right, and that's a good point with this. The world is his oyster. Yeah, he can be whichever kind of variant. The personality is different, the history is different, and it makes it quite an interesting selection for them to pick from as to what kind of tone or what kind of ferocity they want their version of
Mm,
Kang to be. So yeah, I wonder. I mean, yeah, yes, I think it's a good open blank canvas for them to sort of start their Kang dynasty with, really.
mm.
So yeah,
Yeah.
but
A couple of things though. Here's the thing, right? So the movie starts off
mm,
with, oh, by the way, spoilers over here. Movie
yeah.
starts off with Hank, with Scott Lang, sorry. He's kind of, his life's going great. He's just basically saved the
Mm,
world. People know him, and there's kind of like a funny bit of an introduction. And then we really quickly get into the whole kind of the crux of the whole story about how they get
mm,
sucked into the quantum realm. But here's the thing,
mhm,
Devaldo. This is what I didn't understand. His daughter, Cassie, she's working on this beacon that's sending a signal to the quantum realm that's able to kind of locate and map out the quantum realm. Why the hell wasn't Hank Pym able to do that to find his wife like 30 years ago? And this guy's supposed to be a genius.
I can't answer. I can't answer that.
Can't answer that.
When, when I,
Will I,
when I,
will I be
oh
famous?
mate,
Mate,
oh,
seriously, what is up with that? Why is it the 16-year-old girl, whatever old she is, why is it she's able to do that, tinker with it, and be like a genius? She's like Tony Stark level now, basically.
trust me. What kind of tech where can you get this stuff? People are just fixing anything. Look, we had what's her name? Riri Williams making Iron Man suits in a garage and for her school project. Where are you getting these resources and materials? Please tell me. Everyone's making shit in caves, and even Iron Man 1, that man made it in a cave. Everyone's making shit in. If they can do that in a cave or in a blooming garage, what can you make in an actual lab? You know what I mean?
Exactly. This is what I'm saying. I'm like, so listen, we needed a way for the kind of the crew, the team to get into the quantum realm. So I'm talking
Yeah.
about Hank Pym, Janet Van Dyne, Hope Van Dyne, and Scott Lang and Cassie. So we needed this kind of little bit of a thing, and like you can see they're a closer knit family, and they're having dinner, they're
Mm,
having pizza, and all this sort of stuff. She's calling him grandpa, which is kind of was a bit weird, but anyway.
mm,
Um, and so they're in the lab, they get sucked into the quantum realm because she's made this technology, and then we're in another world. And whenever I was watching this bit, I don't know why, maybe it happened to you, maybe it didn't, maybe it happened to our listeners, but I thought, oh, this is kind of like it kind of, for some reason, it kind of reminded me of Avatar a little bit, where they could have done a 3D version,
oh, okay. Yeah, I see what you mean. Yeah, yeah.
with the
Because
kind of the floaty stuff.
the world looks really like just exotic, isn't it? At the
Mm,
most highest level. Like, what is that stuff in the sky? Like, what? Where does the atmosphere stop in the sky begin? Like, what is? I don't know. It's like it's just mad. The special effects
yeah.
on this is crazy.
Crazy special effects. And then they get sucked in there, they get separated. So Scott and Cassie, they've gone off into a different direction, and the other
Mm,
three, they've gone off into a different direction. And Hope Van Dyne, she is kind of a bit nervous, she's a bit scared, because it's like, oh my gosh, you know what, there's something down here which I haven't really told you about. And then there's a bit of tension between the family, and then we
I kept thinking
know.
to myself, spit it out, spit it out. You're just like, someone just slap her or something. She just keeps saying that and not saying anything. Like, what's going on? Just tell us. Oh, she's getting on my nerves, you know.
Exactly that phase. She's just like, oh no, stop it! Don't do this! Don't do
Yeah.
this! Don't do this! And I'm like,
Oh
oh my
my
god.
gosh. Spit it
So she's
out.
got, and the whole thing with I'm kind of fast forwarding here a bit, but the whole Bill Murray thing, I just thought that could have. I mean, I don't know, Bill Murray. I don't know. It was just like, okay, yeah, they needed to get from A to B, and they needed
Yeah.
to shove in
Yeah.
another character and something like that.
A comic
But
relief there, isn't it?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. But I mean, that whole Quantumania realm thing. What did you make of it?
Yeah, I mean, we've been there a few times before now. We kind of know the rules. You know, people know how it works. You know, you shrink down to a subatomic level, so
Yeah.
it's smaller than the eye can see on a microscope, and to that level, time and space become blurred, and you 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 sort of are in a space between spaces, and that's, I guess, what it is. And in that, there's all these different life forms and all sorts, and anything, anything can happen. I think
Mm.
it's a nice, sort of place to operate within, and so they can, have new characters. And how do they get where do they get these weapons from? I don't know. They got spaceships and all sorts down there anyway, but it
Yeah,
is what it is. But yeah, I think it's interesting. It's just
that was
interesting.
funny.
It makes
Yeah,
it it makes them able to explore different possibilities without having to go to space, which is a
yeah,
technical kind of difficulty. So this makes it
yeah.
easy for them, basically.
Exactly. And they kind of explain it as kind of like a universe within a universe within a universe. There's all these
Mm,
different universes there, all these different races, there's aliens, there's
mm,
creatures, all this sort of stuff. And then kind of, through the whole movie, they meet these different people, and then we kind of hear about a group of rebels that they try to
mm,
fight, the conqueror. And then they got crushed, they got defeated because he's obviously created this massive army. And then
mm,
eventually, for me anyway, I was like, right, okay, get to it, because I want to see Jonathan Majors. I want to get to the point where
mm,
we get to see actual Jonathan Majors. But before we even get to Jonathan Majors, there's one funny thing. There's another Marvel villain kind of character that pops up, which is a throwback to Ant-Man and the Wasp
mm,
Part 1, which is Darren.
mm.
He was the kind of the head
Aaron
of
Cross.
Darren
He was
Cross.
yellow jacket. Yellow
Yeah,
jacket. Yeah.
he was Yellow Jacket. We kind of find out what happened to him because he got shoved down to the quantum
Mm,
realm and everything, and he is now Modoc,
mm.
Modoc or Modak. I can't remember.
Modoc,
Modoc. Yes,
mechanized
Modoc.
organism designed only for killing.
Killing.
Crazy.
And you know
Yeah.
what? I got to say, it was funny though. There was the interaction that I had because his face has been kind of stretched out and everything, and he's got his
Mm,
voice. There was a few kind of funny moments over there, but hope I'm glad that didn't go on for too long, and it was funny as from what it was. So we got that kind of a thing. But then his character just kind of did a flip turn, like turnaround, which was like way too quick for me.
yeah. Yeah.
Um, but then we finally get to see Jonathan Majors. And for me, that was the thing. Are we going to get a wishy washy villain, or are we going to get a villain that's got layers, that we're sympathetic to, that has
Mm.
got, there's good. And listen, let's not kind of deny this. He thinks that he's doing good
He does. He does. And
in his
do you know
warped
what?
mind.
Yeah. I'll take a little pause only because I want to like him more,
Mm,
but I can't bring myself to. Yeah, I'm going to see the film again tonight. Like you said
yeah,
at the top of this, you said Jonathan Majors is a good actor. He is.
yeah,
Go check
yeah.
out Lovecraft Country.
Oh
He's
yeah,
got
man.
Creed 3 coming out
The Five
soon.
Bloods.
The Last Black Man in San Francisco. He's got all these
Yeah.
different films and shows and stuff. He's good. Let's not get that twisted. Kang the Conqueror, yeah, is one of those trifecta villains. Yeah, you got Thanos,
Mm,
you got people like Apocalypse, and you
yeah.
got people like Kang. These are
Kang.
people.
Yeah.
The difference between them and your regular villain is the ideology. Thanos
Yeah.
believes in balance, the universe, resources. It can't go on like this. We need to bring balance. We've got to halve
Mm,
it we've got to halve it, just like Bitcoin does every year. There's a halving, and then it carries on, and then it carries on. Yeah, yeah. So there's
Oh
that,
shit.
and then
Yeah.
Apocalypse is the strongest. What's his thing again? The
Mutant. No.
strongest survive. You know,
Yeah. Yeah.
the strongest survive in your environment. You know, the strongest will
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
thrive.
Yeah. Yeah.
All that
Yeah.
kind of thing. So he believes that mutants are the strongest and they should thrive in the environment. They shouldn't have to
Yeah.
bow down to anyone.
To know
He looks
people.
after his
Yeah, because
people
they're the strongest.
exactly, exactly. So he has an
They're on
ideology as
top of the
well.
food chain. Yeah.
Exactly. Kang also his ideology is about obviously conquering, but we didn't get to see why he really wants to conquer because in the comics and stuff, he's got a lady called Rabona, sorry,
Yeah. Yeah.
Ramona,
That's what we get. A boner.
exactly, Ramona, and she is the love of his life, and she's from a future that is being destroyed that he needs to try and save because obviously she's going to get destroyed and he's got motivations that are outside of just killing people but within that
Mm,
he becomes consumed and he turns into this person but his actual motivation is something that we can all relate to. All these
yeah.
ideologies are really they're ideologies that hurt people but
Mm,
some people can relate to them and that's what makes them a sympathetic villain in this. Kang, for me, he stepped onto the scene like a gangster. The way he
yeah.
talks, the way he
Where
has
he
his hands
walked.
behind his back. Because in the
Yeah.
comics and cartoons, he's like this all the time. He
Yeah.
doesn't bring his hand out for shit. Man's like this. As he's fighting people, he's just doing this, or he'll do this, or he'll do the flick that he done with
The flick.
Ant-Man and Wasp.
Yeah.
That's in the comics and the cartoons. He
Yeah.
just flicks people a lot because he doesn't
Mm,
even really move a muscle. But he's like this a lot. All these tech. See how he was able to just like kinetically, psychokinetically, whatever you want to call it. He made them just like freeze, and he was
freeze.
controlling them. His
Yeah.
powers can do that. That's why he's like mad. The tech he's got. Let me start again, man. This guy, Kang the Conqueror, is from the 30th century. He is
Mad.
beyond his future. He descends
Yeah.
from Reed Richards, who's one of the most
Yep.
cleverest people on earth. So he's a future version of the Reed bloodline. Mad, clever, mad technology. So he's above and beyond anything. That's why he shouldn't be able to be touched. What we saw here was like I couldn't believe that this
It's
guy was
nothing.
sweating.
Yeah.
He was getting
I
he was
know.
going having punch ups. Yeah, the guy was having punch ups with Ant
Matt,
Man.
this is the thing. Ant-Man should not have been able to land a punch on him or basically go toe to toe with him because that was really silly. And I thought, hang on a second, they got rid of him like quite quickly. But then I thought, so the other Kangs, are they going to be as bad as him, or was this the baddest one?
That's a good question which I need answered because
Mm,
this shouldn't be the baddest one because there should be a worse one that is because also the thing with Kang that I think is that the different Kangs that we've seen, different variations and stuff. I heard one of my friends actually said this, and I don't know if it's true, but he said there's one Kang, but the versions that we're seeing, and a spoiler, we're sort of jumping ahead a bit, but the versions that we're
yeah,
seeing, even at the end with the mid
yeah,
credits, those versions are of the same Kang,
same
but
Kang.
Kang is able to interact with different versions of himself at different time points so that it looks like he's got hundreds of himself, but it's really one Kang over different points of time that we're seeing all
Oh,
these different Kangs, but it's really one Kang. So there's a future Kang, maybe it's the one above all that has all the interactions and memories all stacked up, which is why he's just so loopy and he knows so much. So it's just like
mm,
we saw the Ram. I'm jumping ahead. I'm all over the place. Sorry.
yeah,
We
Rama
saw
Tut.
the Rama Tut one from the Egyptian times. Some people are
Yeah,
saying it's is it Iron Lad,
Immortus. Yeah, Iron Lad.
Immortus.
Yeah,
Yeah, Immortus is a mad in the comics and stuff. They all Immortus is like near the end of Kang
yeah,
because with all the variants that evolve eventually evolve to a type of Immortus. So that's why he was the
yeah.
main talker when we saw the
Mm.
three different Kangs. I know we're jumping ahead a bit, but yeah, it's just oh man, Kang is a deep villain, man. He's a deep
It's mad,
villain.
and that's why I think for someone like obviously Jonathan Majors, it gives him an opportunity to kind of play different variations, and his acting will kind of change because it's a different type of character. And then
Mm,
imagine the directors; they're going to have fun with this as well. Whoever's going to kind of direct the character. But for me, I was like, right, okay, so they dealt with Kang the Conqueror. By the way, he's
mm,
called Kang the Conqueror, and then I was just like, right, okay, so we got the kind of the mid-credit scene, and we got these other variants. So these three main ones, and then there's thousands and thousands of other Kang variants as well. But these three main ones, they're gonna start to pick a fight with Earth 616,
I guess. I
or
mean,
like it just
they,
kind of
they're the
right.
ones that banished Kang. He's one. They're the reason why he landed in the quantum realm. They banished him because
Mm,
he wasn't
they banished him.
playing by the rules, or he was doing the wrong thing. So I don't know if they even really are concerned with Earth. They're more concerned with keeping the Kangs in check. And maybe if another Kang steps out of line, that's going to be a problem. And that's the Kang that we might get in the Kang dynasty or in Secret Wars. These Kangs are all out of check, and someone needs to control them, from what I understand.
Yeah, that's
But
interesting
yeah,
because I thought
mm,
the fact that they banished him
mm,
because he was destroying a lot of worlds, and that means
mm,
that they were like, so for them it was like they didn't want him to kind of mess up the timelines, so they got rid of
mm,
him. They shoved him into the
yeah,
quantum realm so he couldn't kind
mm,
of do anything, and it keeps
yeah,
their own timelines. But
mm,
now that now, because the line is, oh, Earth's people know about the timelines now. They know too much about the multiverse. So now we
okay.
have to basically put something into place. And I'm like, right, okay, so they have to put something into place. Does that mean that they're going to now start to interfere more with Earth,
Mm,
or more with the timelines and, whatever? And I was like, right, okay, so that's interesting. We get to see these kind of versions of Kang. But then, Deval, again, I'm jumping right at the end. So you have to stay at right at the end. There's another version of Kang.
Oh yes, of course. For a second, I was thinking, what version? Yeah,
There's another
yeah.
version
Which?
of Kang,
Yeah,
and this is in the
mm,
comics as well. So this is back in the
yeah,
1800s.
yeah.
Victor Time, is it Timey or something like that?
Timely or something like that. Yeah,
Timely, Victor Timely, and that
yeah.
is another version of Kang, who
Hmm.
is he's kind of taken over this town of Timely,
Mm,
wherever it is in America or whatever, and he's kind of experimenting. He's got the kind of technology and all this sort of stuff, and that's why it was kind of a bit of a show. And the big reveal there was is that it was Loki and Mobius.
yes, exactly. Which they did, I think that's probably a clip out of the Loki 2
Yeah,
series.
but here's the thing: Loki knew about this guy, about this
Mm,
Timely guy.
yep.
So that means that Loki knows about what this guy's capable of doing. Now, is this the Kang that's the crazy one, or are we still going to get another Kang?
I think it's another one. I think it's a different variant. I reckon Mobius and Loki are going to go on some sort of quest looking for different Kangs to deal with. Maybe that's what they're doing to try and find the right one that will fix the timeline. But it's hard to know because there's so many Kangs, man. Too many Kangs, too many Kangs. You know what I mean? It's just it's too many.
But listen, going back a bit, Stan Lee and Jack Kirby, they came up with this character in the 60s. And like you
Mm,
said, there's so many kind of like variations, and there's so many, like, there's one part which says that he could be Victor Von Doom's descendant. He could be
mm,
kind of
mm,
he's a descendant of
mm,
Nathaniel Richards, and
mm,
he's from the 31st century. He's a time traveler. He travels back in time. He goes to ancient Egypt. He messes around with the timeline over there. He gets
mm,
into contact with the Fantastic Four. So he's had beef with the Avengers and he's had beef with the Fantastic
mm.
Four. But check this out. This Kang that we saw in Ant-Man and the Wasp, he said, I've already dealt with the Avengers before.
Exactly. The guy with the hammer. He's like, are you the guy with the hammer? And he's like, this is. He said, none of this is new to me. He's like, It's almost
Yeah,
like that's what I'm saying. He seems so powerful and knowledgeable. And for me, he was at his most powerful when he wasn't even fighting. When he was
I
saying
know.
certain things of
Yeah.
such weight, that for me
Mm.
made him scary. I
Yeah,
actually thought he was
absolutely.
less scary when he was fighting because
Mm.
I just thought, oh, he's normal now. So for me, I
Yeah.
need to see a lot more of that dread and threat, you know, that the Kang the Conqueror has, that intelligence levels, you know,
Mm,
and the
mm.
fighting without touching people. You know, I need to see that side of him a bit
Oh,
more, because this
yeah.
guy, he's if you know the future and you've been through it, you've fought the hardest people, Ant-Man should be nothing to you.
Exactly. This is what I don't get. This is why. So at some point, there was a point in the movie where his suit got damaged or something. So
Mm.
is that so? Does that mean that the powers that he was getting were derived from his suit?
Yes, yeah, from what I understand, yeah, his powers do derive from his suit. I'm not sure if him as a person has any real strength or powers or abilities. It all comes from his tech. Yeah, I think that's how he
Hmm.
works, Kang, unless I'm
Right.
mistaken. But yeah,
Yeah. So then how? So then I'm just thinking, how is he able to? So how was he able then to get into the spaceship then and do all that stuff? So this one that we just saw now is the one from the future, from the 31st century, or is it
I
that's another one?
I think so. Yeah, I mean, I think so. I think that's yeah, I think so. And then there's one that are further in the future. I guess there's it's hard to know. It's I don't know.
Damn.
It's hard to know.
There's yeah, I know. There's so many questions that I had kind of afterwards, and I was like, oh my
I don't
gosh, this
know.
is right. So they're going to link it up, and they're going to do this, and you know the kind of the one of the mid credit scenes where there's like there literally are thousands of Kangs all going mad.
Yeah,
They're
and the
like they're
tech.
literally going
Did
they're
you see
going
the tech
mad.
that they came from? They came from the sliding blue doors, which is the same as
Yes.
Reed Richards, which we saw in Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness. That
Oh
just shows you the
yeah.
link as well. It's the same tech, you know, and the sort of which one is it called again? There's one that's like an Iron Man kind of suit. He's got like
Ironclad.
a
Is it Ironclad?
ironclad. I think it's called Ironclad. That one is, but
Oh, no, sorry, Iron Lad. I think his name is.
Iron Lad, yeah, Iron Lad.
So is he supposed to be?
There's
See, this is what I don't get. From what I've read, is he supposed to be good or is he supposed to be bad? I don't know.
uh I don't know, you know. They call him Scarlet Centurion as well. I mean, I
Mm,
don't know what's going on. They just, who knows what their intentions are? All I know is we saw glimpses of Kang's destruction of all this, you know, this conquering worlds and stuff, and it was such a quick flash. I mean,
mm.
show us something, you know.
Yeah, yeah,
Show us
yeah, yeah.
something, you
I
know.
know, and it's
Let
true
us
what you said
know.
about the kind of with the Ramona, with his kind of
Mm,
his love interest. When
yeah.
Hope Van Dyne, when she touched that thing, they actually could have done a flashback to him like being in love and doing it for love.
Exactly, which makes it more of a powerful motivation because then it turns into something with a bit more layers, you know, rather than just your stereotypical single layered villain.
I want to conquer everything.
Yeah, what for? Oh, just to conquer, sit in my chair. It's not enough.
Yeah. I know,
It's
I
not
know.
enough.
And if you turn around and it's like, you know, he's had some loss in his life, then
Yes,
okay, then
then we'll
that kind
get
of
it.
makes him more
Mm,
sympathetic. Oh yeah,
mm,
man. See,
mm,
come to the Flixters and we've got it all for you. So
mm,
listen, look, folks, this is our movie of the week, and just like Deval said, he's gonna go out and watch it
mm.
again.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
just to kind of get a kind of better understanding of it. Now, I'll go back to that question and we're gonna finish up on this. I'll go back to that thing about how many gangster movies are there in the
Mm,
MCU. For me, this isn't one of them movies which I can say, like, oh, this is
mm,
wicked. Listen, it's an introduction to a character which we're going to see more of. And I'm
mm,
hoping that we're going to get to see a better film of him in it. But for me, yeah, it's better than Thor 4, don't get me wrong, and it's better than Iron Man.
mm. Iron Man 3, yeah.
Iron Man
It's a
3,
fun
sorry, yeah.
film. It's not shit. It's a fun film. Has some good
Mm,
moments, but it's not no depth. Cookie cutter in certain places. Enemy was a
yeah.
bit one dimensional when it got to the third act, and it just it was lacking something. It was more of an introduction, which actually didn't fully do a good job for me, more than a
Yeah.
film in itself. So. Just to let itself down a little bit, I was expecting a bit more. Even though I wasn't expecting much, I still was expecting a bit more because of the
Yeah.
Kang. So
Exactly, because it's
yeah.
interesting, and this goes back to my point about I don't think that we are going to get those. I think it's going to
Mm.
be the movies that which we can say are gangster, wicked.
They
I
come
think
come and
those
gone.
films that yeah, exactly. There's not going to be very much of those, and then we're going to get these kind of filler movies which are going to be decent. and like, okay, yeah, okay, that's possible, and that leads on then to the next thing and everything.
Yeah.
So listen, we'll see how it all plays out, but officially the phase 5 has begun, folks. Keep it locked with the Flixters, because we're going to be bringing you more. And listen, we've got some big movies coming out for you in March. Devour Creed is coming out. We've got John Wick next month.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Good film coming out soon, man. I
We've got some big
cannot
ones
wait
coming out.
to.
Keep it locked with us. But that's it. That's all we've got time for in today's episode.
Don't forget to follow us on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. Just pop in the Flixters podcast.